I've been playing soccer since I was 3 years old. I love it. I love the sound of the first blow of the whistle. I love the feeling of my cleats pushing against the soft grass as I sprint to receive a through ball. I love the feeling of taking the final touch away from the defender after faking her out. I love the hugs, high fives, and fist bumps after scoring the winning goal. I love the team dinners after a hard-fought game. I love the straight arms and late tackles. I love the grind. I love the grit. I love the game. But then, in March 2020, I broke my leg and I couldn't play soccer for 4 to 6 months. Determined, I did everything in my power to make sure I got back to the game I love as quickly as possible. While I was sidelined by cast, I would spend hours each day analyzing game film, watching professional matches, and dreaming of the perfect game. As soon as my cast was off, I started a strict regimen of drills to help me get back in shape. I would spend 2 hours each morning juggling, dribbling, and passing against the garage door, followed by another hour of weight training to further bring back my strength. I also started to restrict my food intake. But why? I told myself that it was because if I put on extra weight, it would slow down my recovery and the return to the game I love. And thus, I carried on. Once club season had started, I felt like I was ready. But at the same time, there was this lingering fear in the back of my mind that I wasn't good enough, that something was missing. So I did more. I pushed myself in new ways, like joining the track team and working out twice a day, every single day. I also started to count calories and further restrict my food intake. How so? I was under the impression that it would make me better, faster, stronger, for I wasn't good enough, as is. But it didn't help. In fact, it had the opposite effect. My performance went down drastically. I was off at soccer. I had difficulty concentrating amidst the constant thoughts about the meal yet to come, and my physicality and willingness to go into hard tackles was down. My times continued to get slower at track. I began to have constant minor injuries, such as tearing soft tissue in my knee. So I started to skip meals and further restrict my food intake. By this time, my body couldn't handle it. I ate no breakfast, very little lunch, and thus ate a lot of food at dinner, almost out of my control. After family dinner, I would rush upstairs to my bathroom and cry. I felt I had undone all the work I had done during the day, refusing breakfast even though it smelled so good, eating a small sandwich at lunch, and refusing snack even though I was starving. I would sit on my bathroom floor, crying, and stare at the toilet, wondering if I should make myself vomit. Around this time, my family went on vacation to Disney World. The hot Florida sun and constant walking had caused my body to do something I had been forcing myself not to do for a very long time. I began to eat. We had many great meals. Gigantic half-pound cookies, a scrumptious lunch with turkey, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, and stuffing, and crunchy yet fluffy Mickey waffles that were dusted in powdered sugar and coated in maple syrup. The food made my body feel amazing, but at the same time, it made me incredibly frustrated with myself. The temptation I had been fighting for over a year now had finally won, and I hated myself for it. On the last night, we were waiting outside of a restaurant, and I broke down into tears. My mom saw right through me. That was the day I was introduced to the term eating disorder and how it applied to me. According to Sulfur Bratland Sonda and Joy Ronson Gitborgen, the prevalence of eating disorders in female athletes can range from 6 to 45%. This isn't just my story, it's my teammates' stories and many other athletes' as well. When I go to practice, I hear my teammates complain about their bodies. The amount of times the term soccer thighs is said in a negative connotation is sickening. At team meals, I see my teammates restricting and not taking in their adequate calories, even after a gruesome, physically exhausting game. I see my teammates getting hurt because their bodies are more prone to injuries due to their inadequate nutrition. I've seen people have to sit out of their sport because of their disordered eating. A 2004 Norwegian study on the link between athletes and eating disorders found that athletes are nearly 3 times more likely to have an eating disorder than the average person. But why? A study by Alan Curry details this is because athletes exhibit traits such as perfectionism, high self-expectations, and competitiveness that just contribute to disordered eating. Over the past couple of years, a trend is emerging in female athletes of disordered eating habits being developed in adolescence. These habits progress and cause many issues, including that of severe eating disorders and mental health issues as years pass. We must stop this. But how do we fix it? I believe the best course of action is to raise awareness, provide positive nutrition classes, and teach the negative effects of low body weight. If athletes were required to take a course or seminar each season that educates on eating disorders and how to identify them, it will help the athletes in many ways. It will help them identify eating disorders in their teammates, as well as themselves. If an athlete is experiencing an eating disorder, it will provide an open, safe environment that shows that they are not alone. Another part of the course should include positive nutrition classes that focus on consuming adequate calories and food groups before and after performances. These nutrition classes will help combat the misinformation that is prominent about body weight within our society and teach athletes about their bodies and their performances. While body image issues also contribute greatly, I believe the desire to be better, faster, stronger is a significant reason why athletes begin disordered eating habits in the first place. To address this, I think we should teach athletes the negative effects of low body weight that directly affect their performance. In addition, I also believe that both parents and coaches should attend an informational seminar on eating disorders. They should be taught the signs, symptoms, and how to identify them in their players and their children. They should also be taught proper nutrition and positive food and body language. For example, coaches should teach their players how food is going to help their performance, not hinder it. Up to 45% of female athletes struggle with an eating disorder. 45%. Out of the 22 girls on the field during any given soccer game, 10 are struggling with an eating disorder. 5 girls on a court of 12 playing volleyball. 11 girls on a field of 24 playing lacrosse. 4 girls on a court of 10 playing basketball. 3 girls out of a heat of 8 running track. We must end this. We must stop the negative food and body comments and the false justifications of poor performance because of eating too much food. We must stop the unrealistic comparisons and the thoughts of self-doubt and self-hate. We must stop the misinformation. We must end the derogatory comments. We have to stop the threat to the joy of sports. We have to stop eating disorders. Thank you.